Bonjour et bienvenue dans ce nouvel épisode de Brand Story, l'émission qui décrypte les marques personnelles inspirantes et brandées. Pour ceux qui ne me connaissent pas encore, je suis Lola Cuvelier, cofondatrice de Personal Branding France et animatrice de cette émission. Alors aujourd'hui, j'ai l'honneur de recevoir Dumont qui nous vient des États-Unis, qui était une experte du personal branding. Donc petite précision, l'interview elle sera en anglais, donc pour ceux qui ne comprennent pas, vous pouvez passer à la vidéo suivante ou lire les sous-titres. Hi everybody, welcome on Brand Story Show. For people who don't know me, I'm Lola Cuvelier from Personal Branding France and host of this emission. Today, I'm honored to interview Dumont from USA. She's an expert of personal branding. So, hello Dumont, welcome and thanks to your acceptation and your presence. Can you tell me more about you?
Just okay. Well, let's see, where shall I start? I'm a master personal brand strategist and digital branding strategist, and I really use. Well, let me back up a little bit. My background includes mostly education. I was a public school teacher, and then I started working in colleges, helping students realize their career dreams and teaching career development. And so when I left higher education, it made total sense to me to become a career coach because I knew all this about careers. What I didn't know about was marketing and branding. And so, what seemed to make a lot of sense to me, coming out of higher ed, didn't turn out to be really a lot of sense at all because I was relying, or I believed that if I knew what I was doing, if I was good at career counseling and career coaching, that I would just start, building my practice, that people would hear and they would come. And to some extent, that did happen. I did have clients, but they weren't the clients that I really felt I could help the most. They weren't the ones I just wasn't doing what I wanted to do. And I had spent 25 years writing resumes, and I knew I never wanted to write another resume as long as I lived. But the biggest thing that happened was that I lost my business. And that was devastating to me. That just crushed me. I was in mourning for about 3 months. And then one day I woke up and I just said, you got to get out of bed. You got to go on with your life. So I started looking around for solutions to see what I should do next. Because I knew I still wanted my own business. And I knew I could help people. I just didn't know how to get the word out. So I was taking a course in career coaching, and one of my professors, you may know of her, Deb Dibb. She used to work she's done a lot with Reach, and she mentioned personal branding, and I asked her about it, and I asked her whether that was a real, that might be something I could explore. And she said, and I'll never forget this, she said that it changed her life. And, that was good enough for me. So I took my first course, learning how to do the 360 reach. And it just made so much sense. And it just had so much success with it, with helping others with their brands, that's why I ended up really specializing in it. So that's what I love to do.
Right. And when you're a child, you speak about goals, dreams. When you're a child, you was child. What was your dream goals?
When I was younger?
Yes.
Let's see. Well, I had a couple of them, but my first one was I wanted to be an archaeologist. And my parents kind of discouraged that, mainly because they thought I would be overseas or something and they'd never see me. But I still think of myself, that's a really good question, because what I do now in using the reach to help people understand their brands is a little bit like archaeology. In archaeology, you're digging to understand, you know, what this was and the culture that it grew up in and the time and all of that, and really, and how they survived, actually. But really, that's what we do with personal branding. We help people dig deep, you know, and get the information they need to define themselves and to self-actualize, to become who they want to be. You know, so in a way, it is a lot like archaeology.
Great. You talk about personal branding. For you, what's the personal branding? When you discover the personal branding, and what's changed in your life?
Okay. My first experience with branding was when I was much younger. And I didn't know at the time what I didn't think of it that way at all. You know, I didn't think I was changing my brand. I just wanted to do something. I grew up, my grandfather lived with us for a lot of my life. And before that, we would even go visit them every summer. So I was very close to my grandfather. And he stuttered a lot. So he had a lot of difficulty getting his ideas out sometimes. And so, you know, I was a little girl. I loved my grandfather, right? We all do. And so I would, you know, I would listen to him, and then I would tell other people what it was that he was saying. And I don't know whether I got it right or wrong or what, but he loved that I did that. And he used to say that I spoke for him, that I was his voice. So when my grandfather died, I was named, Lynn is my first name, Dumont is my middle name. I was named after him. And when he died, I really went through a lot of thought and introspection because of my love for him. And I was in my early to mid 20s at the time. And that's really a period where we kind of go through growth and we're kind of introspective and thinking about what we're going to do with the rest of our lives. And I decided to go by his name because the qualities that he represented to me and the things that he believed about me were the things that I believed about myself and that I wanted to go further with. And so I chose to go by his name. I chose to go by Dumont. Before that, everybody called me by my first name. And not everybody liked the fact that I was changing it. You know, they thought I was, you know, stealing something from my grandfather. When in actuality, I wasn't stealing anything. They gave me that name, you know, but it meant, Dumont meant something different to me than Linda did. You know, as a child, I was very shy. I was awkward. I didn't have any self-confidence. And I don't think I really believed in myself and what I could do. I don't think I even knew what I could do. So when I decided to go by my middle name, it was a definite choice on my part. It was a definite choice to leave behind some of the bad stuff that had happened and really embrace my future and really embrace who I am. You know, and that's something that we each struggle with. And so that's why I love personal branding so much, because it's really an opportunity to learn about ourselves from who we believe we are and also how other people see us, which gives us a whole lot of information, you know, about how we present ourselves. Why are people seeing one thing instead of something else?
Great. So for you, what's the importance of your name?
Oh, okay. Well, I was named after my grandfather's name was Dumont. And he was named after my great grandmother. She was French. And we pronounce it Dumont here. I think you pronounce it Dumont.
Yes.
Right? And I hope I'm right about this. My grandfather always said it meant from the mountain or of the mountain. And I think to me, well, I know to me that the name represents something larger. Mountains to me are very spiritual. I've lived in the mountains a lot of times during my life, and I really feel that there's a spiritual aspect to them, and I feel very grounded when I'm in the mountains. So I think that's really the meaning of it, and the importance of it to me, because a mountain is, it is, and it's pretty impressive and solid on its own. We don't have to dress up a mountain, so I know that that's what it means to me. It means authenticity. It means strength and inner power. Those are all the things that mountains mean to me. They feel solid and secure and safe, and all of that means a lot to me. So that's the significance.
Great.
Except that they called my grandfather Dumps. They don't call me that.
I don't know if it's the same in USA, because I know that's not the same in Belgium, like French. In French, when we spouse somebody, we change our name. We take the name of our husband.
Yeah, we do that here.
Okay. So do you think it's a good idea for brand, or it will be great to have the both? What do you think about it?
Well, here we have the option in the United States, and a lot of women do keep their birth name, and then their husband's name is the second name. So, they have three names, or they hyphenate them and make them the same, or make them joined. I don't know the answer, to be honest with you, but my thought is that we are who we choose to be. And our brand, we can certainly take with us and grow into and change. It's an evolving thing. It's not like we're stuck in this one place for the rest of our lives, because that's when we first learned about personal branding. We do evolve. And, I think that's so important, and that's such a big part of it to me. So, and one of the other things you asked me was how my life changed as a result of personal branding. It changed in a lot of ways. For one thing, it clarified my values, because my values had always been anchored in education, and to a certain extent they still are, because I do help people understand and learn things. But it also opened me up to different aspects of myself, it opened me up to my strengths and to my passions. And I found that my passion wasn't necessarily teaching. My passion is helping others grow and change. And that can be teaching, but it can be coaching, it can be counseling, it can be training. I mean, it can be a lot of different things that we use, as far as assessment and how we get this information. In my case, it took me in a whole new direction. It took me in a different direction for my career, because one of the things that I found out a couple of things about my values. One was that I valued autonomy. And you don't have autonomy if you're working for someone else. Another thing that surprised me was how spiritual I am. I would not have identified that as one of my values, but other people saw that in me. So it really did change. It not only changed my career, it changed how I saw the world and how I saw the rest of my life. Because, I believe we're all put here for a purpose. And I think personal branding helped me find mine.
Great. What's the link for you between branding and spirituality?
Oh gosh, that's a big question. I think that I think branding helps us become who we are, who we were meant to be. And I don't, for me, I define that as spiritual. I see that as a spiritual realm. Other people may not. Because when we look at our values and our beliefs, we're looking through a lens that's been shaped by everything that's happened in our lives up until now. So I think the spiritual aspect provides that almost a continuity, like the storyline that we're following. And if we believe that storyline is predestined, by God, we're going to follow that story much differently than if we believe that God is in each of us and we have choices, that we're free to make choices. So I think it has a lot to do with it. And I think the real thing that it has to do with is understanding who we are and understanding our values and how that affects us and how that leads us. Somebody else could have the same exact characteristics and results that I do, but they could define that completely differently. They may see those challenges as completely different than what I do. But I think the spirituality relates to understanding who we are and who we want to be.
Great. Thank you very, very much for all of these informations. If we want to know more about you, to speak more with you, where we can share you?
Okay, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm always there. And it's Dumont, D-U-M-O-N-T, Owen, O-W-E-N. You'll also see me, I have a group on Facebook called the Lucrative LinkedIn Lead Generator. And there we use personal branding as a foundation for creating our LinkedIn presence. So I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, and you can always email me at dumont@dumontowen.com.
Great. So thank you very much for
thank
all
you.
of that.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to know you, to hear you. I think it's a short part of a short interview, but there is lots of keys. If we can end of this interview by a key, what's the key for people who want to be more branded, more motivate, and more themselves?
Wow. I think the key is self-understanding. It's really a way to understand who we are and, all the different facets that are part of who we are, because a lot of people think of a brand as a tagline, like Dumont Owen, master personal brand strategist, and it really isn't. That's just an expression of it. And I think that's the essential thing that makes branding powerful.
Great. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I really had fun with this.
Yes. So thank you very much, all of people who listen to us. If you want to know more about personal branding, if you want to hear more about personal branding, you can show all videos on PersonalBranding.FR, and you have lots of informations here. So thank you very much, and have a good day.